Yo, Dhyan, like yesterday, one of my seniors' boards ended, and she was telling me how like she only got 4 or 5 hours of sleep during the past few months. Like she was sleeping at like 1 or 2 a.m. and waking up every single day around 6 a.m. And I think it's really harmful that like this has become normalized. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's like these lots of these things that people have for like centuries like recognized the value of like basic food, like a healthy diet, like sleeping like normal hours. And in today's generation, because people want to be like locked in, or people want to work extra hard, like harder than most people work usually, they want to like they give up on these like actually meaningful important things, and I think that's a really bad thing. And I was reading about this the other day, and there's actual like real impacts that these sorts of things have had across different countries. So, like in the US, for example, from 1999 to 2014, social media called like there was a 24% increase in suicide rates in the US. That's a massive number. And obviously, we know that lots of mental health problems like that people face today are a direct result of unrealistic expectations that social media sets, or addiction to social media. Or like we know for a fact that across the world, teenage girls are driven to be thinner. Like this causes suicide, this causes anorexia, eating disorders. Like there are like real like medical problems that are being diagnosed, and like people dying as a result of this, but people still don't seem to recognize that social media is setting unrealistic expectations.
I also think like, for instance, in our debate friend group, like it's seen as a cool thing to sleep less. It's seen as a cool thing to be really busy. And I just think like it's very like short-term gratification that will eventually like come to bite us back later, right? Like if we don't set healthy habits for ourselves right now, I think it's gonna be really harmful in the long term. I think that's fair to say. Also, like I have this one junior who's 13, right? And he was pushed to go to the gym because of social media. That's not inherently bad. The problem is that he's taking things like creatine and protein powder, which he doesn't know how to consume. He hasn't sought any medical professional help, which is what's usually advised with supplements like this. He hasn't like researched about this like potential side effects of this. Like what if he overdoses on something? What if he doesn't take it in the right dosage? And he's spending so much money on this. And like I just feel like if some way was there to like prevent this misinformation, he would just be so much better off.
Yeah, and then people just like they see all these like influencers online, and they in the short term want to get all of these things. So like in the example of your friend, for example, he probably was pushed to take creatine because he wants to get short term results, and he sees all these jack guys and he wants to be like them. And I know like people who like go on exotic holidays, but they don't necessarily want to go there. Like they might truly love their jobs, or they might want to chill at home, like they might enjoy that. But because of these expectations that are set, they're forced to like shell out huge amounts of money, go to these places which they might not even enjoy. And it's not necessarily bad that people are going on holidays. Like obviously working 24 hours a day is not something that's good. But like it's probably better that they make choices for themselves and think about what they actually want instead of social media dictating that for them.
And with something like Instagram or YouTube, it's like every single time you scroll, you can see like a quoted vacation spot. Or like every single time you scroll, you can see like this perfect person living a perfect life, driving your dream car. And I just think like it's so important that people think about like zooming out and thinking about where else this happens. Like, can you like think about like where we see things like this, where we see social media setting unrealistic expectations?
I think it happens like everywhere. It happens from like body dysmorphia in girls to like boys taking steroids just because they want to look jacked, or they think that that'll like help them look good in the short term. Or it means that like even if you are earning well, you don't feel adequate because you see all these people spending like millions of dollars on like fancy cars, going to like all these like good vacation spots, and you just don't feel adequate even if you're living a comfortable life.
And there's so many of these like jagged influencers online, bro. Like these days, it's even more common to see them. But the problem is oftentimes they're not natural. Like they take things like steroids. Like for instance, Liver King. Like he built a career off of faking being natural and like faking being someone who hasn't taken any sort of performance enhancing drugs. And he sells things like supplements because of that. And people believe him, even though he's doing absurd shit. Like he's buying like cows' tongues to eat and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know, and like even like apart from people that deliberately fake this, there are people that only focus on like the best parts of their journeys and leave the rest. Like for example, fitness influencers like David Lane, like we know he takes steroids, but he won't come out in every video and talk about like what the harms and benefits of steroids are, because and lots of his viewers don't in fact know. Like one of my friends like the other day that I was talking to didn't know that David Lane like takes steroids, and they're forced to compete with these people who are at a natural advantage because they're taking substances like steroids, and these people are like 15, 16-year-old kids who can't like do that. Or like successful people like Kylie Jenner, who like said she was self-made in 2019, and obviously she worked very hard, but that doesn't negate the fact that she comes from a wealthy family with wealth and connections, and people can't be forced to live up to that standard if they don't have that kind of those kind of resources growing up.
Yeah, that's fair. Also, like this guy I saw online on YouTube, like his name was Dan Bilzerian, I think. He was saying how he built like $1 million empire based on playing poker and like placing bets when he himself was marketing a poker company. The problem is that in reality, like he got a lot of his wealth from his father. Like it's not like he was self-made throughout the entire journey, and I think it's really harmful how like some people are being misled to believe that somehow gambling or somehow the thing that they're selling is going to make them a millionaire overnight.
Yeah, and there's like there's also people that like whose like failures across their like careers have just been hidden, or like people often don't know about it. Like the Logan Paul Japan controversy, for example. He came out and apologized about it, but people oftentimes don't know about like the controversy and like how that took a massive hit at his revenue because YouTube changed its algorithm to specifically reduce the revenue he was getting after that controversy. Or PewDiePie, Disney cut ties with him in 2017, and after that, like that was a massive hit to his revenue. And people think that these YouTubers have always been famous and always been rich and successful, when in reality they've also like had bumps in their journey and not always been at the peak of their career.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like so many people just want like quick success these days, right? Like especially like when you look at people like Mr. Beast, who's someone who has been making videos for like more than a decade, but like what you see when you look at his channel is like every single video being like widely successful. The problem is that most people just don't realize that like there were so many years where he just did not get a lot of views, where he had to make things like so many sacrifices. The problem is most people don't see that part of the journey and just look at the end outcome and want to get that in like a few months, and I think that's really bad.
Yeah, so I guess obviously the solution can't be that like people stop like only show their failures, because nobody will watch videos that only show the failures of people. But it has to be like people showing both the successes and the failures that they've had, like people showing the whole picture. So like if like for example they've gotten jacked, like showing the fact that they've taken steroids, or the fact that it's taken lots of years and they haven't done that overnight, to stop people like your friend like trying to get jacked in 1 year or 1.5 years. So like they have to show like the like both sides of the story, and they can't only show one side.
Yeah, and I think like so many people are setting the precedent for this as society is progressing. Like I've seen jagged creators that also make videos about how there should be healthy and realistic standards in the fitness industry. And I think that's really important to talk about, right? Especially in a country like ours. Like I don't think I've ever seen like a news outlet talking about issues like this. Talking about how there's like so many people that face these problems. Talking about how there's so many teenagers that feel like their body is inadequate, or how there's so many teenagers that feel like they need to start this new business that will make them a millionaire and retire their mother. It's good that people are having these ideas, but it's so bad that there are other people profiting off of the fact that like these kids and teenagers don't realize that like this is not something that happens in one night without any hard work and like through a cheat code. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think at the end, like even if we can't change the way that influencers create content, because obviously like two teenagers can't create that level of difference, but at least if people know that like the type of content they're seeing is content that is unrealistic, that has more to it than meets the eye, at least that means that they don't aspire to like live up to those unrealistic extreme standards. So at least like sure, it's good to like want to be fit and want to be jacked, but to like have the goal of doing that in 6 months is probably excessive. So like knowing the fact that these people have taken years to do what they've done and have failed multiple times along the journey, at least helps people who are viewing this content view it from a different lens, I think.
Yeah, I think it's just like about the podcast. The point of it is not that necessarily like the government will create regulations about it. It's just that even if people in our friend group, if they can watch this video and start talking about these like issues and like being accepting of them, I think that's something that's excellent and like a really good starting point for the future.
Yeah, and I don't think we even need to change like millions of lives. I think even changing like 100, 200 lives is a great step, and like it really makes an impact in people's lives who've been affected by this problem a lot, I think.
Yeah, fair enough.